All right, so someone has asked me for a tutorial for how to make granny squares. Um, most, I know there's a lot of tutorials out there already for granny squares, but I figure I would throw mine into the mix. The cool part about granny squares is how versatile they are, even though they're relatively easy to make. You can make cardigans with them, you can make bags with them. I've even seen, well, of course, pillows with them because they're square, but I've even seen like stuffed animals with them. My mother-in-law, I made her a sort of like a heavy weighted, just a little chicken out of a granny square. So there's a lot of neat little things you can do. I'll actually show you two of the ones that I've shown one of them off on one of my little videos. But one is this, and I believe when the person asked, they asked if I could make a tutorial for this type of bag. I don't feel comfortable doing that only because I made this bag based off of watching someone else showing off a bag that they were lining that looked like this. So while I didn't follow their pattern, I don't even know if they had a pattern, to be honest, but I could tell that she made it using 6 granny squares, and she was just showing off how she was lining it. I haven't lined this, but I've seen some I've seen some comments about suggesting how I could go about lining it. So thank you. I do plan on doing that. I did, of course, freehand this. I didn't follow any pattern for how I did the edges or how I crocheted in this lace zipper. And in fact, that's the reason why I made this bag, is because I wanted to test out the lace zippers that I purchased. Lace zippers just have little holes that you can crochet into, so you don't actually have to sew on your zipper. So this is one of the things that I have made with granny squares. Not all granny squares are alike. Generally, when you are using the terminology granny squares, you're referring specifically to this with double crochet clusters in repeating rows that get bigger and bigger, or repeating rounds that get bigger and bigger. These colors are changing because, of course, I use it yarn that changes color when you crochet with it. So it already has the color changes built in. And it kind of gives a nice stained glass look. Another one that I did with what is called a granny square is this bag. I actually just finished adding the strap last night. So you can see how versatile granny squares are. This one uses 13 larger size granny squares where you've got 5 fully visible on the front, 5 fully visible on the back, and then you have 3 that are folded. So this is one that's been folded, one that's been folded, one that's been folded. So you have a total of 13 granny squares here. And what I did is I just did the slip stitch join on the back inside. I will be putting a liner on this one because these flowers, the petals are not connected. So this will be a little holey if I don't, which is fine for things like books, water bottles, etc. But I also don't really want the body of this to sag down. So just as a side, oh, and I will say these are flower granny squares that I got from this card deck. I don't want to, since I purchased this, obviously they're going to have copyrighted designs, but I will say, I'll show real quick. If you plan on purchasing this, just know that the patterns are visual patterns. So if you don't know how to read visual patterns, this might not be the best deck for you, but that's actually how I learned outside of YouTube tutorials on how to turn your chain. So with that being said, we're going to start off with a basic granny square. Since I am making that one blanket for my brother, the Lucky Cat blanket, using just these small granny squares. I'm using this bright colored yarn because why not? Also, the part where I'm on right now with my brother's blanket, I'm using black yarn, so that's not always easy to show. There's 2 ways you can start out your granny square. One is with the magic ring, and one is with a chain 4 slip stitch into the first chain. I'm going to do it both ways. So the first way is going to be beginner, where we're going to do our slip knot, and we're going to chain 4. And the cool part about this is you can still use a needle to tighten the center, and I'll show you how to do that so that it looks like you used a magic ring. No one's going to know. You're the only person who's going to know, and if you tell anybody, well, they'll know, obviously. So here we go. I'm going to chain 4. 1, 2. Oh, I'm so sorry. That's on me. The yarn I'm using right now is a medium weight number 4 yarn. It says it recommends here that I use a 5mm hook. I'm going to use a 5.5 just because I actually prefer this yarn using a 5.5 or even sometimes a 6. In fact, I have another bag that I made using this exact same type of yarn with a 6mm hook. So it's all in whatever works best for you. But I just thought I would let you know. All right, so we've done our slip stitch. We're going to do our chain. So chain 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm going to slip stitch into that first chain on the hook. So it's the first chain you made, which is the 4th chain on the hook. Chain 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to slip stitch in this bump. So not the bump on this side, on the left side, but on the right side. So if you're holding it like this, it's the bump towards you. So I'm just going to insert my hook, yarn over, pull through again. Now there's a little hole. You made basically a circle. So what I'm going to do though is I'm going to, okay, so you could do this one or two ways. You can do a standing double crochet. You can do actually 3 ways. Yeah, standing double crochet. You can do a stacked single crochet, or you can do chain 3. So in this, using the chain 4, I'm going to keep it simple. We're going to do a chain 3 as our first double crochet. So 1, 2, 3. This counts as our first double crochet. If it's easier for you, and I will say there's actually, you don't have to count this as your first double crochet. And I'll show you how that will look as soon as we get around. So if you know how to do a double crochet, this will be really easy for you. If you don't, I'll show you. So you're going to yarn over, you're going to insert into that circle, into that hole, yarn over, pull through. You now have 3 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2 again. Now it's at approximately the same height as your chain 3. You're going to do this again, yarn over, insert, and now it's a lot more visible in terms of that hole you need to go into. So insert, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2. Now you're at 3, yarn over, insert, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now we have 4 double crochets. I'm going to go a little bit faster. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. We're at 5. Yarn over, insert, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. We're at 6, so we're halfway there. I'm going to pull some more of this yarn out real quick. Yarn over, insert, pull through, 3 on that hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. We're at 7 now. Yarn over, insert, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, 8 now. Yarn over, insert, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. We're at 9. Yarn over, insert, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, 10. Yarn over, insert, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. We are at 11 now. So this can be your last stitch if you want to keep this chain 3 as your double crochet, as your starting double crochet. So now we have 12. If you want to have this as your starting, you're just going to slip stitch into this chain that you have your stitch marker in. That is perfectly fine. I will show you how I like to do it when I do this method of starting instead of a magic circle. I'm going to yarn over, insert, pull through, and here we have our 13th double crochet. What I'm going to do though is instead of going into this, I'm just going to go into that first actual double crochet that we made. So I'm going to do my slip stitch join right there. 1 second. sorry. All right. So now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to chain. So technically, right, we only have 12 spots that we'll be crocheting in. So now we're going to start the next round of this double crochet, or this granny square. 1, 2, 3. So that's the first one. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to yarn over. I'm actually going to insert right here. So I'm going to kind of go right underneath where I have this chain 3. And I'm going to do a double crochet. There's a lot of different ways of making granny squares. This is just the way I prefer it because it looks neater when I'm finishing it. And I'll show you what I mean, because I'm going to do this one as sort of like the beginner's granny square. And then the next one I'm going to do will be how I make all of my squares for my brother's cat pixel blanket. So this is like kind of, I feel like the standard way of making this. So I'm going to yarn over. Check this. Yeah, yarn over. Let's see. Yeah, yarn over, and I'm going to double crochet there. So now we have technically 3 double crochets. I'm going to undo this real quick because we don't need this anymore. And you don't have to, but you can always put a stitch marker in that top 3rd chain. But now you're going to skip 3. Now remember, we have like this first chain, so we're going to skip this one and skip these 3. So I'm going to yarn over. So 1, 2, 3. In between your 3rd double crochet and your 4th double crochet, you're going to insert your hook. You're going to yarn over and pull through. Yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, pull through 2. This is the start of your, like this is your first corner. And you'll see what I mean. And this is the start of your second corner. Get some more yarn out so I don't have to be pulling it. So yarn over, insert to that same spot. Yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, pull through 2. Your second double crochet. You're going in again. Now you have your first kind of set of 3 double crochet. Or double crochet cluster, I think is what it's called. Now I'm going to chain 2. Which makes my corner. Some people, I think their tutorials might have chain 1. Some people might have chain 3. Whatever works for you. I prefer, for what I'm doing, I prefer chain 2 so that one of the chains stays on this side of the work and one of the chains stays on that side of the work. Anyway, so now you're going to yarn over. You're going to insert into that same spot again. Yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, pull through 2. You're going to do that twice more, putting a total of 6 double crochet or 2 3 double crochet cluster type things into that spot. I'm not chaining any. I'm pretty sure that there's granny square patterns out there where they chain 1 space here. I don't do that because I prefer the way that it looks this way. So now I'm going to go to skip 3. So 1, 2, 3. I'm going to go in right here. And I'm going to do exactly what I just did. So yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. I'm going to get those 3 double crochet. So there we go. I'm going to do those 2 chain. Yarn over. We're doing those 3 double crochets again. And I'll go slow on the next corner again. So now we have 2 corners. So yarn over, we skip 1, 2, 3, go in between that 3 and 4. All right, so insert, yarn over, pull through. You have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, your first double crochet. Yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, insert, yarn over, 3 loops. I've yarned over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, 2 single crochets. Go. Yarn over, insert, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, insert, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So now you have 3 of your corners. We're going to finish up our corner right now, more of the standard traditional beginner granny square method. So I'm going back into where I have it right there. So I'm going to insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, insert, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, insert, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. 2 chain. And then here is where I'm going to snip this. All right. So here is, I'm going to show you how this looks, and then I'm going to make another one so we can do a comparison versus what I prefer to do and what I think is the more commonly accepted way of doing granny squares. All right. So this is the top of the third double crochet. This is the top of the second double crochet. If you had put your stitch marker into the third chain, it would have been fine here, but this is how I like to secure it. This is the third chain. So I'm going to get my needle in right here, and then I'm going to get my needle in basically the back loop of what I would assume the chain double crochet would have as its top. Do that. Now, I'm going to turn this a little bit so you can see that ending top, the second chain that I did. I'm going to insert my needle right there, pull through. All right, and then I'm just going to weave it to fasten off. So in and through, and then I will deal with this in a second because I'd like to show you how I'm going to do the center so it looks like you did a magic ring. I'm turning over the work, and I'm just going to insert. I'm going to thread my needle. And what I'm going to do is this is the direction in which the yarn is going. So I'm going to keep going in that direction, almost a full circle. So I'm just going to bring this in like that. Oh, 1 second. There we go. I keep hitting the chain. All right, so pulling through. Going to go through this cluster. And it really does help to go through all of them. Like, don't stop halfway because you're not going to be able to tighten it. All right, so now I'm through 2. Here's the third one. There we go. And then here's the last one. So I've made a full circle. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pinch the center. So unfortunately, you're not going to see the magic happen, but I'm going to pinch it to help provide support. And I'm just going to pull really, really tight on this. Just not so tight that you're going to snap it. And now look, a really nice tight center. Then I'm going to go back the other way. I'm going to skip that first one so I don't accidentally undo all my work, but I'm going to weave it in going the opposite direction so it won't undo. There we go. And then bring it this way once more. And this one you don't have to take all the way back around. You just kind of weave it in and out through that original chain 4 space. So there we go. And then I am going to weave this in real quick before I start on how I make my own sort of brand of granny squares. And of course, it's probably not going to be anything new for some people who eventually watch this video. They'll probably have seen it many times in other people's tutorials. I've never seen it, but that's because I don't go out and look for tutorials. I kind of go, this is what I want to make based off of a photo or someone showing their completed work. And that's just what I do. So I'm sure someone's already figured it out and they already have a tutorial on how they do it. But so I don't want to say I'm the first, but now you could tell it's a little lopsided. Again, that's because of kind of how we did that first bit. But look, I just straightened it out and it's almost exactly the way I need it to be. But this is why blocking helps so much, you know. I only just recently started blocking, but I can already see how well it works. So now this is the example one. I'm going to show you how I do it my own way. I'm going to do a magic circle. I'm bad at explaining how to do a magic circle, and I don't know if I'm going to do it justice by doing it here So I strongly recommend watching a tutorial specifically for magic circles. Looks like I might have a little bit of a yarn tanglement problem here, so give me 1 second. I think I may need to just, oh, there we go. Got it sort of fixed. There we go. I just got a little bit of yarn bar, but that's okay. All right, here we go. So magic circle. I've got the yarn, the end of the yarn sort of towards me, and then the continuation of the yarn from going to the skein away, so down this way. I'm going to wrap it over 2 fingers like this, so the end of the yarn is pointed towards me. This is being held by my fingers here, going back to the skein, so I can have a little bit of tension. All right, I take my hook underneath the string that's going towards me, that I'm securing by pinching my finger, my thumb to my finger. I'm going to pull this yarn through, and then I'm going to do a single crochet. So this is kind of like if you inserted it into a loop, you're basically yarn over and pulling through. And then I'm going to go under both strings. I'm going to yarn over, and then I'm going to pull through. And this is different. Some people do a double crochet here. I actually really like doing a stacked single. Oh, sorry. Let me show you what a stacked single crochet looks like. This is a single crochet right here. Some people, when they do a magic circle, they will do the chain 3 or chain 1 and however many they need. But so here I've done a single crochet just now. I'm going to go into this second, I'll call them bars. I'm sure there's proper terminology, but I'm going to go to the second bar here. And I'm going to yarn over and pull through this, so where I have 2 loops. And then I'm just going to yarn over and pull through both. That is a stacked single crochet that now has the height of a double crochet. So this is my first double crochet, and I'm just going to take this stitch marker and put it into the top of it. So now I'm going to go do what I did with this one, where I'm going to work 11 double crochets around. I'm going to do one real quick, and then I'm going to lock the stitch marker. So bear with me. All right. Okay, here we go. So I'm just going to kind of like pinch both this loop and just give myself enough room to work as I go around. So now I have 3 double crochet, got 4 double crochet, and I'll slow down for the remaining 6. 5 double crochet, 6 double crochet. At this point, this is where I like to tighten it just a little. So watch. When you pull on it, it gets that loop a little bit smaller, which is why it's called a magic circle. It basically shortcuts what we did with this one. So going slow for the last 6, yarn over, insert through both strings, so the loop and that string pointed towards you, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, insert, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So now we've got our 3, 6, 9. We've got 6 more left to go. Yarn over, insert, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, insert, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And now for our last one, 1 more double crochet. At this point, even though you may have been counting in your head, just do a quick check. 3, 6, 9, 12. All right. So I'm going to tighten this all the way, and I'm going to go do my slip stitch right there. Here we go. So here you can either do another stacked single crochet to make a double crochet. You can do a standing double crochet, which I'm not going to include in my tutorial here, but I will show you. So all I do is I turn my hook back around to grab this yarn. Yeah. Okay. I don't normally do this, so that's why it's like kind of gross. But then I yarn over, pull through 1, and then I pull through 2. So it kind of looks anemic, but in the grand scheme of things, when you finish it, it really doesn't look that bad. For my squares, because of how I do my corners, I actually prefer to do a chain 3 here. So 1, 2, and 3. This will be my first double crochet. I'm going to put in the stitch marker so you can see it when we come around this time. All right. So I'm going to do what I did on the other one, where I'm going to do a double crochet kind of underneath this chain 3. So yarn over, insert, pull through. You've got 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. I have 2 double crochets here. I'm stopping, and you'll see why when I get around. We'll repeat everything as normal. So 1, 2, 3. I'm going to do a double crochet in between that 3rd one and this 4th one. So in between, in that spot, I've yarned over already. I'm pulling through. I've got 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, pull through 2. So this part, I'm just going to do this relatively quickly all the way around, because I did just sort of show how to do those corners in the past one, and nothing here has changed with regard to that. So I'm just going to quickly do my clusters here. Yarn over, then we're gonna, oh, so here's the next corner, 1, 2, 3. This is my next corner space. Pardon me. It's kind of crazy too, because it almost takes me more time to weave things in than actually make the square when I'm concentrating. All right, so we're making our way back to that first corner, and you'll see how I do it, which I feel is just a better way of joining it. Okay, so I'm going to go back into that space. I'm going to yarn over, do my double crochet, insert, pull through 2, pull through 2. I'm going to do those 3 double crochets. All right, so there's our 3. I'm going to chain 2, and then I'm going to do 1 more double crochet right here. And that is where I cut the yarn, because I already have 1, 2, and there's my 3rd double crochet. Leaving the hook, the marker in, and you'll see why shortly. So here, and the reason why I do it this way is it kind of gives me a nice crisp edge. So actually, no, I will take this out because of how I weave in. So to secure it, I'm just going to kind of like tilt it so it almost makes those bumps like a normal double crochet. And I'm going to bring that needle in through that front bump and then into that second one. So pull through. All right. Then I'm going to take my needle and put it through the back loop. I'm going to turn it, and there's a little bump right underneath that back loop. It's like the back bump or something like that. And I'm just going to pull through there. So now you can see how that looks. This is the corner join that I made with that first one, where you kind of have this little ugly bump up there. But this one, the corner is still very crisp compared to if I hadn't done that. So now I'm just going to weave it down to fasten off so we can have a really good comparison real quick. Pull through. And you don't want to pull too tight. So once you pull it tight, just sort of pull it back real quick and make sure it looks visually appealing. It doesn't need to be perfect, but it needs to look visual. Well, it doesn't need to look visually appealing either. Be however you want it to be, but it's just me. Then you weave it back the other way. And then if you would like, weave it back that way, but you've now brought it down this way, through this way, back that way. So it's pretty secure. So I am going to snip that. And then with the magic ring, it's already encircled, like how we had to basically manually do here. But even though it is, I do like to bring it just like 1 cluster more in the same direction in which the yarn is going. So we'll just make that real quick. The yarn is coming in this direction and it's coming out over here. So I'm just going to take it through 1 more cluster, 1 more set of 3. Make sure it's snug. And then I'm just going to skip one of these bars so I don't undo what I've just done. And then I just sort of work my way through at least a full cluster, maybe a little bit more. But I feel like this is pretty secure. And there we have it. Of course, they're going to look a little bit better once they're blocked. But if you didn't know that this had changed color, like if you hadn't watched me where the colors had changed, it would be a little hard pressed to figure out where it was that I joined it, because it looks, in my opinion, so good. Here, this is a little bit easier for me to find because I can see that bump right there where I connected at the chain. But that is how I make the little granny squares for that Lucky Cat blanket. These are just little pixels. And of course, I would use actual like those solid colors for that. But this was a demonstration using yarn that's not black. You can add more and more rows. And in fact, I'd like to show there's one thing that I am working on, which is a much larger granny square. So you could just keep going and going and going and going and going. And you can make blankets with this. Whoops. Ignore that. We haven't had huskies in our house for 3 weeks, but man, the hair. Anyway, so that is the tutorial. I hope that you learned something new, and I hope that I was pretty easy to be understandable. So good luck and happy crocheting.